to me because I have been made with some stuff that had told me, you did it. That's your wake. Ain't nothing they can do about it. That's your wake. And I sat there and I was surprised at how they came after me when they realized it was my work. And so, that's why perhaps the nation knows very little about the work. I leave them alone. Let everybody be the intellectual they want to be and be the scholar that they want to be. I leave them alone. I have, through small sessions, and particularly like tonight, I'm telling you all some things that have never happened, but I think I agree to come here and talk about what we brought with us, I think. That's what it is. What we brought with us from 73. And one of the things we brought with us is all this movement toward designing of this coat of arms. Let me touch 2 points in this coat of arms before I move on. There are 2 elements to this design, and the 2 of them are called supporters. I saw you all had flag, you all ain't got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, who did that? That's somebody here. This flamingo and that marlin, they are called supporters. If you look carefully, they support the main element, the shield. The shield is it. The shield is where the identification is. All right? Now, what I like about these 2, and let me explain it here because I don't want you to make that mistake. As Bahamians, we tend to look at them and say, oh, that's the marlin. That's the flamingo. And don't go any further than that. Huh? You have to take it further. Where does this bird take you? How does it touch your emotions? What does it mean emotionally? Literally, it's a flamingo. But what does it mean? Huh? What does the marlin mean? And when I think of the time I spent trying to figure these things out, and to see people come now, nobody interested in that. All right? But let me tell you something about the 2 of them, because they are what I have been spotlighting this year. Flamingo. You know, we have a colony of flamingos that center themselves in Anagua, but they're all down south. I've seen them in Auckland, I've seen them in Marijuana, I've seen them in Crooked Island. They're in the southern islands. But that's a bird, yes, it's a bird. But it has some traits, some behavioral patterns that we can emulate, that can become good for us and good for you men. You need to understand that in spite of the beauty of that bird, the female bird lays the egg. And she sits on it. But she needs a time when she must go stretch the wings and go perhaps look for food or whatever. And she gets up out that nest and she goes. The male flamingo goes and sits on that nest and keeps the nest warm until she comes back. Now, I could knock off some Bahamian men with that. But they ain't taking care of nothing like that. When the egg hatches, both females and male are there. And they will hang around that nest. until that chick is getting up and can be released independently. Yeah, a caretaker, more than family, 10 years family, 10 years live in the house with the woman, and then when the children come, live with the children. No relationship with the woman. No relationship with the children. Huh? You put the check there, you pay the mortgage, you row the light bill. Huh? No, let's look at how we live, man. You have to examine how we live.
Real talk.
Huh? We can learn from that bird that we are caretakers. We care for that female, and we care for those children. And in that way, the boys will become better boys, and they won't become wall sitters, wall warmers. They're there. And that is what I've been presenting. I was trying to do this for quite a long while. Every time I go out to speak, I tell them, that bird has some traits that you could emulate them, you could copy them, as we would say. And that will be very good for our
Nation.
I'm gonna let you preach that one.
I write it down now.
All right. On the other side is a blue marlin. Now, I didn't get caught up in whether he's blue, purple, or whatever. I can just call him a marlin. Let me tell you what that marlin has sent our way. You find him, Pt2, in deep water. So you have got to go out to sea to draw for a marlin. Now you have to come, take your biggity self out there and be prepared for a wrestling match. Of course, you don't pick him up and he don't hop in no boat and say, where you want to take me? It doesn't happen that way. You go, and if you can fool him with your hook, and however you were to hide the hook with bait, whatever, and then you would hook him, now it begins. You have to have enough time to spend, because he's not going to crawl up near the boat and say, pull me in. I'm going with you. He is going to fight you, brother. He's up and down and around, and if you have misplaced the size of your hook, it's gone. If your line is not secured, it's gone. What will happen is you could spend many hours and nothing happen. You bring no marlin in. Now, how do I translate that for us? That fish is in an area that he calls his territory. He does not play about that. He is at home. And if you hook up with him, he will fight you, and you have to be victorious for you to capture him. I say to Bahamians, stay in your territory. Stay where you have control. And who come to mess with you, huh? Just resist them. I ain't use the word fight. You resist to the end. And if they're good, they defeat you. If they're not good, you're going somewhere to try again, to hope that the line does not drag behind you. Those two supporters give us some lesson, give us some inspiration for us to move as people and move about. okay? I think I should do 2 more, and then I can leave that. The area in here speaks to our sovereignty. Now, that's a word for homework. Go home and look up, see that. Our sovereignty. And that is what I ask every Bahamian to protect. It's who we are. It's that ability, that right to determine where we are going and how we are going and how fast we are going there. Sovereignty. If you have no sovereignty, then you ain't nobody. And I'm speaking to some young men. If you ain't got no sovereignty, you go marry somebody and you live in that house, you get what you take. You have to determine where the sovereignty is. These girls got it right, you know. You watch them, you talk to them, you'll find out if your name is Brown, I am Mrs. Brown. I am Mrs. Ferguson. They let that go and get the sovereignty, or you don't be successful, and they will, that's my husband over there. But not the fellas. They moving around, three-piece suit. Yeah, he ain't having nothing to say. Huh? But the girls will look and make it clear who that man's mate is. Sovereignty. And that's what we are after. Our sovereignty. Our will to do that which we desire to do. And then we'll get it done. Now once we go down, we come down to this area here, which is called the compartment. And we learn something right away, that it is divided in 2 sections, 2 distinctly different sections. One shows waves, the other shows marshland. One says land, and one says the sea. Now, what that tells you, if you listen when that teacher was trying to teach you something in geography, you would know that the Bahamas is a composition of land and sea. Yeah. If you don't know that, you can't guard our sovereignty, because all the strange ships and boats will come in and fish our waters while you just look. Huh? We are a country, a nation of land and sea. And spread out across that compartment, there are some English words which read forward, upward, onward, together. They were words supplied to us. I should mention this. It's interesting how we do things in the Bahamas. We have given 2 young Bahamians the credit for giving us those words. And I'm not going to get into the practice of how 2 people from different areas in the Bahamas can come up with the same words. You think about it, and then you could tell me tomorrow if you think. But we have credited 2 young people, and I've given them a trip to New York as a reward. And those words that form our motto says forward, upward, onward, together. Now what those the first 3 words do is give us an idea of movement. You brought that for me?
Yes, sir.
You're all right.
Sometimes he's all right.
But he's shooting good today. Forward, upward, onward, again. Movement. I'm going forward. I'm going upward. And I'm going onward. Movement. Moving from point A to point B. Now, for all of us who think I can do that for myself, that's why we ain't growing. Everybody's sitting down and complaining about the Bahamas not growing. I don't know who I am. No, because you being dumb. Huh? Huh? You got to do all of that with somebody else together.
Yes, sir.
1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, together. Now that is the challenge that we face as a nation. And that's a challenge that face you all more than, say, people like myself. We're from the colony. We don't know much. But you have to go back where you can exercise forward, upward, onward, together. And when you march forward, you do that at times other than when we're looking for votes.
Deep.
Huh?
Deep.
And then we can develop this nation at a splendid pace to stay and to share with their age to come.